welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I am doing the Behind the Booktube tag, which was originally created by the lovely Shelley Swearingen, and I was so kindly tagged by Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot. This is a really interesting tag that has a lot of questions about what it's like to be on Booktube, kind of like my personal mindset behind that. I am seeing other people do this. I just saw Christy Lewis do this tag pretty recently as well. So there are other versions of this tag floating out to other answers. And it's just really interesting to see like how we differ, how maybe some of our struggles or successes are the same or different. And so this may be interesting to you if you're just wondering how I go about content creation, what I think about Booktube. If you're interested in starting a Booktube channel, or you have recently started a Booktube channel and you're kind of like wondering what it's like once you're a couple years in, this video may be of interest to you. So the first question is, what has surprised you the most about Booktube, both in a good way and a bad way? So in a good way, I hope this isn't cliche because I think everyone says this, but the friendships have really surprised me. I started my Booktube channel in January of 2021 because I was encouraged to do so from Chantel Reads All Day. She was a friend that was telling me like, yeah, you should just do it. You should just do it. So I started my channel because I was reading so many books and no one in my real life was reading the same books as I was. So I was dying to talk about these books and I had no one to talk to about them. So I started my channel because I really wanted to talk to people about books. And obviously that is still my favorite part of my channel, is that you guys comment and we can interact in the comments, talk about our thoughts on different books, or you can recommend books to me, like different things like that. That has still been so incredible. But I was not expecting to have people that I would now consider like my very best friends that I met as a result of Booktube. So people that maybe I initially started as a buddy read with them, and now we just talk all the time. And some of those people are other Booktubers, but some of them are subscribers that we started by reading a book together and sending like Voxer chats back and forth. And now we talk all the time. And I just love that. It's been so valuable to me. I've had so many people who I can go to when I'm struggling with things, or people when I need prayer for something. I have people that I can go to, and it is just so wonderful. I just was not expecting that. And when I started my channel, I didn't have a ton of in real life friends. And then I moved here like 6 months after starting my channel. And so I was starting all over again with not knowing anyone in a new area again. And Booktube has been such a solace for me in those times. Something that's really surprising to me, potentially in a good way and in a bad way, is actually that my reading habits have completely changed since I started Booktube. So the way that has been really good is that before I started Booktube, I was exclusively a mood reader, which you may find it really hard to believe because my reading is extremely structured at this point in my life. Not just like reading time, but like what I am reading, what month I'm reading it in. I am not a huge DNFer. I have gotten looser about that as time has gone on. But in general, I tend to finish books more frequently. And so it's really interesting because I used to just pick up what I felt like reading, and if I wasn't enjoying it, I'd put it down. Maybe I'd come back to it later, maybe I wouldn't. And I never had a plan. And now I'm very structured out, and that has been phenomenal for me because it's caused me to pick up a lot of books that I wouldn't have been in the mood for and wouldn't have picked up otherwise. It has totally broadened my horizon in terms of like translated literature. There's so many things that I pick up, so many things I've seen other people read that I'm like, oh, I want to jump in on that buddy read, or I want to do that too. And so as a result, there's so many books that I've read that I never would have picked up otherwise, or maybe books that I wouldn't have finished when I was a mood reader, but now because I'm more structured or because I have buddy reads, I do finish them more frequently. The way that has gotten to be less of a good thing, I think, is that there can be this pressure and comparison that happens on Booktube between Booktubers, but also probably with people who are viewers as well, where it's really easy to watch people who are like, I read 20 books last month, and you're like, how? Or that you're like, oh my gosh, this person's reading this book, this person's hosting this readathon, this person has 20 prompts for this readathon for 1 week and I want to do them all, and you know, things like that. And you can pressure yourself so much that it can become really overwhelming, or you can compare yourself and be like, I only read 1 book last month, how did that person read 10? You know, and things like that make you feel like you're not actually as much of a reader or a bookworm as you thought you were, which is so stupid. Let me just tell you, if you read, you're a reader. If you like to read, that automatically makes you a bookworm, regardless of how much time you have to read, because everyone reads at different speeds as well. And so I don't know. That's something that I've easily edged into overwhelmed territory by either agreeing to read too many things or feeling like pressuring myself like I need to read more things. There's no handbook that says you need to read X amount of books a month to be a booktuber. Like, that's just stupid. Question number 2 is, how do you balance reading and booktube with the rest of your life? So I used to have a lot more time on my hands when I started this channel, but I have fairly consistently over the past 2.5 years posted 2 videos a week. Sometimes it's been more, sometimes it's been less. I know in September there has been less videos, and I think there were in August as well, just because there's illness that hit my family. School started back up. We had a bunch of house guests. We started back up our homeschool group, like all the things, so many things. And when I started my channel, it was like the beginning of 2021. And so still living in a place where a lot of things were still on lockdown because of COVID. And I was home a lot. And now I have a lot more responsibilities that I have to balance with reading and with booktube. It's not too difficult for me to find time to read because reading is my primary hobby. It's probably my favorite hobby. I do have other hobbies. Since my daughter got a Switch last year, I have been playing more video games. And then I also have like some crafty hobbies. I like to bullet journal. I like to hike. There are other things that I do like to do. But overall, I can usually find time for reading because I love to read, and I would rather read than watch TV or something like that. Lots of people have different hobbies and they're juggling different hobbies with reading, and that's totally fine. You know, we all choose how we want to spend our time, but I typically want to spend my time reading. So I don't usually have too much of a problem with reading. Booktube, I've had to be more gracious with myself because, like I said, since we moved here, my schedule is totally different and there's just a lot more commitments that I have now that I didn't have before. And so I do have to be more balanced. I used to respond to comments on my YouTube videos a lot faster, and I'm trying to get better about doing that again, about carving out specific times on the days that my videos go up to respond to comments. But sometimes it's a day or two before I can get to people's comments. And I just have learned, like, I gotta be okay with that. Question number 3 is, have you ever thought about starting a Patreon? I have, and I did. I was toying around with the idea of it last year for a really long time and talked to some friends about it who encouraged me to just take the plunge and do it. So I started my Patreon in January of this year. If you're interested in that, there is always a link in the description of my videos in case you want to find that. No pressure though, it's not a big deal. I love my Patreon though because I have dedicated time that I spend with these people every single month, and it's wonderful. So what we typically do, we've been doing things a little different lately, but normally we will read a book together every other month because I know that multiple people in my Patreon have committed to other Patrons as well. So I didn't want it to be overwhelming of like, we're gonna read a book every single month and they're like 500 pages long. So I purposely tried to choose shorter books every other month. And that has been working really well. And in the off months, we still get together on Zoom and we talk about like our favorite book that we read that month. And that has just been so fun, and it's helped grow my TBR and learn the reading habits of my patrons, and I've just gotten closer to all of them. So that has been really, really wonderful. It's going to be a little different. Like this fall, we've read we're going to be reading like 3 months in a row together. And then in January, we're actually going to be reading through Lord of the Rings together. So that's going to be really, really fun, and I'm looking forward to that. So there are times where it's structurally just a little bit different, but I really like having a Patreon and having more time to connect with the people who are part of my Patreon than maybe I do on Booktube, because there's just more face-to-face time. I mean, sometimes I go live on YouTube and I'm interacting with you in real time, but there's something really special about face-to-face that happens with video chats that you just don't get in a Booktube experience. Question number 4 is, have you made any mistakes on Booktube? I think the biggest mistake that I continue to make is allowing myself to give into FOMO. all the time. I have serious book FOMO. Someone's like, I'm reading this, and I'm like, oh, I want to read it with you. Let's do this. Or saying yes to too many commitments. I'm really bad about overscheduling myself and then feeling the overwhelm. Like I have done that a lot this year, and it's just not the best. And every year when I make goals for the next year, I'm like, I'm not going to overschedule myself on buddy reads and agreeing to too many events this year. And then I do it again. Like I'll have like a month or two where I do good, and then I'm like, why did I agree to everything? And it's not like I feel pressured, like you have to do this. Like I want to do it. And I forget that there are only so many hours a day in which to help plan readathons, in which to create videos, in which to read, in which to respond to comments, in which to, like all those things. There's only so many hours in every day. And sometimes I can overschedule myself so much that it's like I end up having to drop out of things. And I did that this summer, unfortunately. And so that is a mistake that I've made, I think. That and the comparison thing that I was talking about earlier this year, which again, no one tried to make me feel like I need to compare myself to other people. It's just like automatically where my brain goes most of the time. So yeah, that's one thing that like I really want to scale back on commitments, like kind of just like streamline it, I guess, a little bit more where I'm still participating, but I put a cap on how many buddy reads I do a month. I'm not always good at balance. Question number 5 is, do you have any advice for new booktubers? It gets better. It gets easier. At first, I feel like it's really hard and you feel really self-conscious just talking to a camera, and it becomes more natural over time. It becomes easier over time. You stop feeling so self-conscious about every second of every video all the time. I started out feeling so self-conscious, and it's so weird, and I would never film if there's anyone else in my house because I'm like, they can hear me, and that's so weird. And it's like, now I film, like if my daughter has a friend over, I'm like, you guys just need to stay on the other end of the house and be quiet. I gotta film. And like, you know, there's different things that I do that used to really bother me, and it doesn't anymore. So that's one thing. And then also, I guess this is more if like someone wants to start a booktube channel, like just do it. Don't wait until you have like the best equipment or the best this or the best that. Don't worry about that. Just start. Question number 6 is, what are your thoughts on the YouTube algorithm? Oh boy. Do I even have thoughts? It is so confusing. I feel like I can't figure out what the algorithm wants most of the time, which is really frustrating. Like sometimes there's a video that like blows up and I don't even know why. And then I have a video that I'm like, this is gonna be a good video. This is gonna be one that gets lots of views. And then like no one sees it. And it's so weird. Sometimes I really can't predict that at all. So the one thing that I have noticed though is that when your channel is monetized, YouTube tends to promote monetized videos more than non-monetized videos. That's like the only real observation I've made for the YouTube algorithm that I've heard other people say. So I know that it's not just me imagining it. Other people have said as well that when their channel is monetized or was monetized, that they were getting more views and that YouTube was promoting their videos more. So I have noticed that. But other than that, I feel like it's a guessing game most of the time. And I feel like sometimes like there's certain videos of mine that never do as well. Vlogs are one of those, which is funny because I put the most work into vlogs because there's B-roll and there's music and there's all this kind of stuff. And I continue to make vlogs because they're my favorite. But they almost never do well. But sometimes I'll post a vlog and it like is like number 1 out of the last 10 videos that I posted. And I'm like, why this one? Why this one? The thumbnail even looks similar to that one, but that one got like no views and this one got like hundreds of views in the first 24 hours. And I just never know. It's confusing. If you know anything, feel free to share because I am at a loss with the YouTube algorithm. Question number 7 is, how do you decide what videos to make? So sometimes I'm tagged in a tag and that helps me. Sometimes I just want to make a video of a book that I've been reading about or a topic I've been thinking about. Sometimes I like to play games or do fun stuff. A lot of times I get my ideas for videos from what I've seen other people do. I'm not an incredibly original person. I like to kind of take what other people have done, then I'm like, oh, that looks fun, and kind of tweak it a little bit for me. So the next question that's kind of with that is, are you ever overwhelmed with video ideas? And the answer is pretty much never. I am almost never like, oh my gosh, I have so many videos I want to make and in no time to make them in. I almost never feel that way. I'm usually like, what do I want to do for videos? I don't know. Question number 8 is, have you ever regretted posting a video? I would say probably not. There are videos that I have felt really nervous posting. And the last one I think that I posted that I was really nervous about posting was when my channel was a lot smaller. Like, I'm not even sure I had 500 subscribers yet. And I had it kind of an in-depth conversation about the racism in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know how to talk about this, and I really hope I'm coming across okay. So I think that when I'm reading books that handle more sensitive topics, it does make me nervous because I don't want to ever come across in a way that would be hurtful to other people, but I also want to stay true to like what my thoughts are on a book, because otherwise I'm being completely disingenuous. And why would you want to watch someone who's not being honest with you about how they feel about something? And so I struggle with videos that are like that, but I don't think I've ever actually regretted posting any of them. And I think part of that is that I just happen to be part of probably the most gracious community on YouTube, which would be Booktube, obviously. Like, I think that people are much more just gracious in general and willing to hear people out and talk things through a little bit more. The next 2 questions kind of go together as well. So question 9 is, are the number of views and subscribers meaningful to you, and are they a measurement of success? So I would say that the number of views and subscribers is very meaningful to me, in terms of like, that means that there are that many people that actually want to listen to me. That I think I have around 1,400-ish subscribers right now. There are that many people that want to listen to me. Like, that's really meaningful. I think that what is more meaningful though than views and subscribers is actually comments, because that's more interaction. So if you're one of those people that are like, I'm too nervous to comment, like, please comment, I want to talk to you. And then it also asks if it's a measurement of success. And I think in some ways it can be, but that doesn't, it depends. What do you mean by success? You know, because if you're saying like, oh, is this a measurement of whether or not your channel is growing? Yeah, I think that if your subscribers are increasing, your views are increasing, that's a measurement of growth. But why did you make your channel? Did you make your channel because you wanted to make money and so you're not monetized, and that's not so then that's not a measurement of success for you? Did you make your channel because you wanted to talk about books? Are you talking about books? Are people interacting with you? Then that's a measurement of success. So I think that like, you would have to define what success means. Like, why did you start your channel? So I think it can be a measurement of growth, which growth can be a measurement of success, but it just kind of depends on what your goal is. Speaking of which, question number 10 is, are you disappointed by the growth on your channel? Overall, no, I'm not. I am really pleased that I hit 1,000 subscribers. That was really exciting when that happened. In some ways I can be disappointed though, because again, stupid comparison game. No one said I needed to compare myself to other people. It's just what naturally happens sometimes. There are people who have started their channel around the same time as me, or like a year after me, and have long since passed me up on the subscriber count. And so sometimes it's like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not at the same level that someone else is because I want to be? Or, you know, so it can be frustrating, because what else can you do other than like continue to make videos and continue to interact with your subscribers? Like, what else can you do to grow your channel? So in a way, like, I don't feel like I'm disappointed, but sometimes then I look at other people and I'm like, oh, but why do they have so much more? So overall, no, I'm not disappointed, but as long as I don't start comparing myself to other people. Question number 11 is, have you ever thought about quitting Booktube? No, I haven't. Not ever. Even when I wasn't growing that much, which actually, like, the last couple of months, I really have not grown very much. I've stayed within the same, like, 10 to 20 subscribers in the last like month or so. So there really hasn't been a lot of growth on my channel in like the last month or two, which is fine. But I've never thought about quitting YouTube because I still have so many meaningful interactions with so many of you. And the whole reason I started my channel was to talk about books, and I'm still doing that. I think there have been times where I've thought about dropping to like 1 video a week instead of 2 during times of life that are really overwhelming, or times of life when I just have absolutely no inspiration for video ideas. And sometimes those happen at the same time. But I've never thought about quitting YouTube altogether. I love it way too much. It's become like a very social thing for me in addition to becoming a hobby. The next two go together. Question number 12 is kind of split into 2. What are the most touching comments and what are the most negative comments? So the most touching comments for me, I think, are when people are expressing appreciation for how I have like analyzed a book or talked about a book, and they're like, oh, I never thought about it this way, or like, wow, this analysis is really good. I really appreciated like how much you thought this through and all that kind of stuff. Like that is always really meaningful to me. And just anytime you guys are complimentary or kind, which is pretty much every video, there are sweet comments on pretty much every single video. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I gush about Booktube experiences because it's just amazing and I appreciate it. So the second part of the question is, what are the most negative comments? So negative comments, I haven't gotten a ton of them, honestly. I've only gotten a few over the entirety of my time on Booktube, which I'm really, really thankful for. I think that negative comments for me are not comments where you're disagreeing with me, because I don't mind at all when people disagree with me, because I think it can facilitate really good discussion. And so I really enjoy that when people are being polite or have a question or, you know, something like that. But there are times when people come on and are unkindly expressing their difference of opinion or being really judgmental in like the choice of someone's book or, you know, whatever, that they're like, I can't believe you would read that, or, you know, whatever. There are times where those kinds of things happen. That I think the most negative comment I actually got an email notification for it, but YouTube deleted it before I actually saw it on my channel. And it was actually like a vlog thing where I was talking about a book that I was reading that was like a collection of Charles Spurgeon's sermons, and this person was just like railing on my faith. And that is probably the most negative comment that I've received, but it didn't really bother me. It was fine. And I've also gotten a comment where I was talking about another booktuber and someone criticized that booktuber. And that's the only time I've deleted a comment on my channel. Because I'm like, you can like say mean things about me if you want, but leave my friends the heck alone. Like, no, thank you. And I thought about like being really snarky and replying back, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna delete it. So that's actually the only time I've deleted a comment. And those are the most negative comments, I guess. Like when someone is just trying to be rude and criticizing, that is not at all the same thing as someone having a dissenting opinion and expressing it politely to facilitate conversation. The last question is, in regards to Booktube, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know, hopefully still doing this. I don't know what YouTube's gonna look like in 5 years. I feel like technology changes so quickly, but I hope that I'm still here and still consistently uploading. I don't know, if you had asked me 2.5 years ago, where do you see yourself in 2.5 years on Booktube, I would have been like, I probably would have had a similar answer as to right now, like hopefully still doing it, but you just never know like what the future looks like technologically. But hopefully in 5 years I'm still here, and hopefully you guys are all still here and we're chatting about books still, because that's why I started this channel and it's still my favorite part. Okay, this is a tag video, so I'm gonna tag some people. Some of you may have already been tagged for this. I didn't really check to see who had been tagged yet, but it is a newer tag, so hopefully there's not a bajillion of you that have already done this or been tagged. But I'm gonna tag Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day, which I already mentioned. She was the one who first got me started on my channel, and she has been doing Booktube a little longer than me, and she has a couple other channels as well, and one of them she's actually been talking quite a bit about monetization and behind the scenes of Booktube. So I think that this would be a super interesting video to see her do. Then I'm gonna tag Holly from Lovely Day with Holly. Holly has been a booktuber for quite a while, and so I really think that it would be really fun to see her answers on this as to, you know, how her channel and her reading has progressed over time. I'm also gonna tag book lover Amanda and Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails. I think they started their channels probably around similar times, or at least I started following them around the same time. So their channels are newer than mine. I'd love to kind of see their answers for this. And I'm also gonna tag Krista from Books and Jams, who has, I think, been around for like 7 or 8 years on Booktube. So I want to kind of see a wide range of people who have had their channel for like a year or two, as opposed to people who have had their channel for a while. So I'm just really interested to see kind of varying answers that we could potentially get on this tag. So ladies, if you're able to do this tag, I would love to see your answers. And if I didn't tag you, I would love to see you do this tag as well. That would be really fun. Or if you just want to answer some of the questions in the comments, feel free to do that. If you're a subscriber, you have other questions or clarifications on anything that I've said, feel free to leave those down below. I always love chatting with you guys about books, but you know, also about Booktube as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.